On a cold Brooklyn night, a devastating fire engulfed an abandoned building, its flames turning the darkness into a fiery nightmare. For most, it was just another blaze, another disaster. But deep inside the inferno, a mother's love burned even brighter. Scarlet, a stray cat, had 5 helpless kittens trapped in the flames. With no one to save them, she did the unthinkable, charging into the fire, again and again, carrying her babies to safety one by one. Her fur burned, her body weakened, but she never stopped. What she did that night would leave even hardened firefighters in tears, a true testament to a mother's love. The night sky was painted with a sinister glow. Flames consumed the abandoned Brooklyn building, their hungry tongues licking at the collapsing walls. Thick smoke billowed into the air, turning the night into a choking haze. The distant wail of sirens pierced through the crackling inferno as firefighters raced to the scene. To them, it was another fire, another building left to be devoured by the flames. But what they didn't know was that inside, in the heart of the scorching heat, a mother's love was burning brighter than the fire itself. Scarlet was just a stray, a cat whose existence had gone unnoticed by most. She had no cozy bed, no owner to stroke her fur at the end of the day. But what she did have was her family. 5 tiny kittens, helpless and fragile, nestled in the shadows of the crumbling building. The fire had spread fast, too fast. Smoke thickened the air, pressing against the walls like an unrelenting force. The kittens, too young to understand, huddled together, their tiny mews swallowed by the roar of destruction around them. The heat bore down on them, threatening to steal the breath from their tiny lungs. Scarlet had no time to think, only to act. With a single leap, she plunged into the flames. The fire lashed at her fur, the heat blistering her skin, but she didn't stop. She reached her kittens, her heart pounding as she nudged them with her nose, reassuring them in a way only a mother could. One by one, she picked them up by the scruff of their necks and carried them out. The first kitten dangled from her jaws as she sprinted through the burning wreckage. Her paws met the scalding pavement outside, but she didn't even flinch. She placed her baby down and turned back without hesitation. Again, she disappeared into the inferno. The fire had grown angrier, greedier. The air was thick, suffocating. Her lungs screamed for relief, her vision blurred by smoke and heat. But there was no room for fear, only determination. The second kitten, the third, the fourth. Each time the flames clung to her, searing her fur, peeling away the skin beneath. Her ears burned, her eyes stung, her whiskers curled from the heat. Every breath she took was agony. But Scarlet's heart beat with only one purpose: saving her babies. By the time she returned for the last kitten, her strength was waning. The fire had almost swallowed the building whole. The wooden beams groaned under the weight of the destruction, threatening to collapse. The air shimmered with unbearable heat. She could barely see. Her body trembled with exhaustion, but her kitten was still inside, and that meant she had one more journey to make. Summoning every last bit of strength, Scarlet took one final dive into the burning wreckage. The last kitten was curled into a tiny ball, its tiny body quivering from fear and heat. Scarlet picked it up and turned, just as a section of the ceiling collapsed behind her. Flames leaped forward, clawing at her back, scorching her tail, but she didn't stop. With the kitten secure in her jaws, she charged through the blaze, her body now more burns than fur. Then she made it. She stumbled into the open air, her legs giving out beneath her. The final kitten was placed beside its siblings. Only then, as if knowing she had done her duty, did Scarlet collapse. Her body was broken. Her paws were raw and bleeding. Her eyes, swollen shut from the heat, could no longer see. Her fur, once soft and thick, was now a patchwork of burns and blisters. But she still turned her head, still reached out with her nose, gently nudging each kitten to make sure they were all there. She had saved them all. The firefighters, who had been battling the flames, had noticed the small, singed body of the mother cat. When they saw the 5 unharmed kittens beside her, they realized what had happened. Tears welled in the eyes of the rescue team as they carefully lifted Scarlet and her babies into their arms. She had risked everything, And yet, even in her weakest state, she still tried to reach for her kittens as if to comfort them. The firefighters rushed her to an animal hospital where veterinarians worked tirelessly to save her life. She had severe burns covering her face and body. Her ears were so damaged they would never fully heal. Her eyes, swollen and shut, would take days to open again. But Scarlett fought on. She had walked through fire for her babies. She would survive for them too. News of Scarlett's heroism spread across the country. Donations poured in for her medical care, and people from all over the world sent messages of love and admiration. Many offered to adopt her and her kittens. But one woman, deeply moved by Scarlett's story, knew she was meant to be her guardian. Under her loving care, Scarlett recovered. She bore her scars proudly, a symbol of her unwavering love. Her kittens grew up safe and strong, never knowing the true extent of their mother's sacrifice. Though she had been just a stray in the eyes of the world, to those who knew her story, she was so much more. She was a mother, a fighter, a hero. And long after the flames had died, the world would never forget the cat who walked through fire for the ones she loved. And though Scarlett's body bore the marks of her sacrifice, her spirit remained unbroken. She found warmth in a home that cherished her, where gentle hands replaced the harsh streets she once knew. Her kittens thrived, a living testament to her unwavering love. And every time she curled up beside them, safe from the cold and the dangers of the world, it was a silent reminder that true love, selfless, fierce, and boundless, can withstand even the most unforgiving flames. As the years passed, Scarlett's story became a legend, inspiring countless people to see the depth of love that animals are capable of. Schools taught children about her bravery, rescue groups honored her name, and those who once saw strays as mere wanderers began to see them as souls with stories worth telling. Scarlett may have once been just another forgotten cat on the streets, but through her courage, she became a symbol of hope, a reminder that even the smallest, most fragile lives can leave the biggest impact on the world.